Sadly, the Tesla Semi delivery event didn't go into too much detail when it came to autopilot, convoy mode, Tesla armored glass, or even the battery pack, the curb weight, and all that, but they did give us a few hints that I wanted to highlight for today's video in regards to the Cybertruck. Not just only giving us a cool updated graphic showing that the pickup is coming next after the Tesla Semi, so put your sights on the Cybertruck, but also giving us some more details on the higher voltage architecture, which Tesla in previous earnings calls had hinted at. Now they're giving us some more concrete numbers. So they detailed that the Tesla Semi has a 1000 volt architecture, and Dan, who was speaking alongside Elon at this event, mentioned that they plan on bringing this to other vehicles in the future as well. Most people took that as the Cybertruck, and I've seen some speculating this means the Robotaxi is going to be 1000 volts, or, you know, the Plaid Model S and Plaid Model X are going there. I think similar to what Tesla has mentioned, that the 1000 volt architecture doesn't carry a lot of advantages for smaller vehicles that don't weigh as much, and they just make a lot more sense when you're doing higher range vehicles like the Semi or larger vehicles like the Cybertruck. So we'll see down the road, but particularly what they mentioned about the V4 supercharging capability is definitely what has most people talking about the Cybertruck, and definitely one of the reasons we're pretty confident that the Cybertruck is now going to be rocking a 1000 volt architecture, which is, yes, higher voltage than the Hummer EV, higher voltage than the Lucid Air. Tesla is like leapfrogging everybody with the architectures now by bringing this many volts to the Cybertruck, which, in case you're unaware, basically it essentially means that the wiring and the cabling between the powertrain and the battery pack can handle a lot more at once, and that improves the efficiency. Essentially, your charging speed is going to be dictated by your amps times your voltage, so it means that without using too many more amps, you can charge the Cybertruck very efficiently, very quickly, and without too much heat losses, which is overall a good thing. But where I think a lot of people are likely misunderstanding the wording they chose, and I think this is partially because Tesla kept the Semi delivery event like intentionally vague. They didn't want to talk about the charge port on the Semi, or how large the battery pack is, or what the peak charging speed is, but they mentioned that with this V4 charging cable, which they're going to use on the Semi, they can achieve over 1 megawatt of DC fast charging speed. That is an insane number, and then they went on to say, yes, we're also gonna use this on the Cybertruck. So I think a lot of people instantly implied this means that the Cybertruck is going to charge at 1 megawatt. That's not how I interpreted it, because for one, that's just insanely fast. I mean, Tesla's current vehicles all max out at 250 kilowatts, and the fastest charging EV that you can buy really is probably like the Hummer, which has been clocked at around 360 kilowatts. So to assume that the Cybertruck coming out next year that is just a little bit higher voltage than the Lucid Air is going to be able to charge at like 3 times the speed of a Hummer or a Lucid, I mean, that would be amazing if true, but I'm pretty sure if you take into context the entire statement that Dan and Elon were documenting, I'm pretty sure they just meant that that V4 supercharging cable would be used to fast charge the Cybertruck. I don't think that necessarily means that the Cybertruck can take a 1 megawatt current. It just means that it can take advantage of that cabling and that higher voltage architecture to handle much higher charge speeds. But even if it is true and I interpreted it wrong and the Cybertruck can handle 1 megawatt, I would have to imagine the battery pack is not going to be able to sustain that speed for very long at all. If anything, maybe even like 1 or 2 seconds before it starts tapering off, because you can imagine the way battery packs work is the higher state of charge they get typically with EV batteries, the lower charge rate they can accept. And even if my predictions about the Cybertruck range are wrong and they can actually achieve, you know, well over 500 miles of range on this truck, it still would probably be around a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is massive, but trying to pump 1 megawatt into a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack, it would be very short-lived, to say the least. Like, it would taper off incredibly quickly, and once you got up to 60 to 70%, the charge speed would have to taper to below 300 kilowatts for the battery health to be optimized, and also just what the battery is physically capable of handling. The Tesla Semi can definitely handle a 1 megawatt charge speed or more, because it likely has a huge battery pack. So when you have that many cells you're working with, charging at 1 megawatt is not that crazy because your battery pack is nearly 1 megawatt hour. But putting 1 megawatt into a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack, yeah, that would be quite a stretch. And again, I'm still skeptical of whether or not they will even put a 200 kilowatt hour pack in the Cybertruck. I think it could probably be a lot lot less. So I just want to clarify that and let people know this doesn't guarantee the Cybertruck will charge at 1 megawatt, just that it will be using this new 1000 volt architecture and that the V4 superchargers are going to be able to charge it definitely well over 250 kilowatts. I think with this new charging tech, the Cybertruck will probably max out somewhere around 400 kilowatts. But again, in the future, I would love to see them go into more detail. And there's certainly a lot of discussion now because of this new voltage and this new architecture they're putting in the Cybertruck as to whether or not the Cybertruck will be able to supercharge with V2 and V3 supercharging stations, because those are all designed and optimized for the sexy lineup, which is all 400 volt architecture. So my guess is the Cybertruck will be backwards compatible, and they're gonna bake in ways to, with the same charge port, make it simple and intuitive as Tesla always does with their superchargers, so that of course the Cybertruck will still work and still accept pretty high charge speeds with V3 and V2 superchargers. But I do think it will accommodate for the updated 1000 volt capable NACS connector, which still again is backwards compatible. You can plug in any old Tesla connector to the Cybertruck, but the port on the Cybertruck will likely have to be a little bit bigger to accommodate for those V4 superchargers that are going to be pumping insane amounts of energy into this Cybertruck very, very quickly, which I may add is a good thing because the Cybertruck is likely to be a lot less efficient than even the Plaid Model X because it has more motors, it's larger, it's not as aerodynamic. So 250 kilowatts going into the Cybertruck is not going to result in 1000 miles per hour like it does when you're putting 250 kilowatts into a Model Y or a Model 3, because those are a lot more aerodynamic, they're a lot more efficient vehicles that don't weigh as much. So you want those really fast charge speeds on the Cybertruck, which is good. But the last detail that I wanted to highlight in this event that I definitely think there's a high likelihood of coming to the Cybertruck is the powertrain update, which we were not expecting with the Semi. Originally, they said they were going to have a quad motor powertrain back in 2017, but at the delivery event, they mentioned that this is the first time they're using motors that they can disconnect via an automatic clutch system. That way, the front motor, which is the most efficiently placed in the Semi, can be doing all of the work. So basically, when you don't have anything connected to the two motors in the back of the Semi, it uses a lot less energy at highway speeds when towing these large payloads. And this is the first time we've seen Tesla going down this route. Although other electric vehicles have done this in the past, I think the main reason Tesla hasn't done it yet is this type of powertrain where you can decouple it is more expensive. It means more parts. It means there's extra processes. So it's probably not as friendly to mass production of powertrains, but it is very beneficial to efficiency, which when you're charging likely over $200,000 for the semi-truck, a bit more expensive of a powertrain isn't that big a deal, whereas the efficiency you can get at highway speeds is a very important deal. And I think that that exact circumstance where this powertrain makes sense also applies to the Cybertruck. More people are going to be towing with this thing than any other Tesla likely in the past. And while Elon has said that they expect the Cybertruck to be quad motor, I don't think that necessarily means that they can't do this same decoupling method with the dual motors in the back of the truck so that they can achieve much better efficiency and much greater range at highway speeds. So I am connecting the dots a little bit here. Tesla did not guarantee that they're going to be using the same powertrain tech in the Cybertruck, but I will just mention on the positive side of things, wanting to push a 1000 volt architecture and bragging about how the V4 supercharger cables are going to be used to help fast charge the Cybertruck does increase the likelihood that the Cybertruck will prioritize high range against my prediction that Tesla will go with a smaller battery pack so that they can ramp production faster. I really hope I'm wrong on that prediction, and this doesn't completely convince me that Tesla is going to go with a huge battery pack in the Cybertruck. However, it definitely increases the likelihood. Seeing these powertrain changes, seeing this higher voltage architecture being referenced for the Cybertruck use, I think this very much points to the idea that Tesla will be using a very large battery pack in the Cybertruck, which again increases the likelihood that the range will be over 400 miles, maybe 500. But Tesla again has disappointed us in the past, and the Cybertruck is definitely going to be produced at a lot higher volume than the Semi is. As far as we're aware, the Cybertruck is still intending to use 4680 cells, which according to Jordan from the Limiting Factor are not very energy dense, whereas the Tesla Semi energy density matters a lot more, and they're using 2170 cells. So I'm not going to go ahead and say Cybertruck is going to have high range confirmed, but I will admit this is a good sign for those people out there that are hoping and assuming the Cybertruck is going to prioritize those high range voltage numbers so that it is very good at towing at highway speeds. That's the good news, I guess. Overall, the voltage was way higher than I was anticipating, which improves the efficiency and likely means that the charge speeds of the Cybertruck are going to be absurdly high. And I can't wait to get more concrete details when hopefully Tesla does a site refresh or production model update in the future. What other takeaways do you guys have from the Tesla Semi delivery event about the Cybertruck? Does the fact that they scrapped armored glass on the Semi make you feel like maybe the Cybertruck isn't going to get armored glass either? All of your predictions, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And thank you to everyone on Patreon supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.